Time podcast week 2 of the NFL. This is the Sun City Leatherheads podcast. I'm JD Cercelli. With me, as always, is Danny Ramirez. Danny, how are we doing today?
What's going on, Jay? I'm doing well. It wasn't it great to have football and just kind of
Oh,
sit around and watch
uh,
football all day on Sunday?
yeah, and have an excuse to be lazy, right? Just like, oh, let me just chill back and watch all the games and then the madness. And man, it's so beautiful to have it back. And then week 1, I think that in the past few years could have not been more entertaining. And like it's from off the field stuff to like crazy injuries to people like Russell Wilson going against Kirk Cousins, and then the defense ended up doing way better for the Boswell gets the game MVP. But yeah, so week 1 in the books, and man, this is crazy. So we got a lot of breaking news, obviously, with injuries and stuff like that. And what would you like to bring up first?
I'm getting a lot of feedback on my end, like it's being repeated time and time again. I don't know what's going on. Try unplugging your mic for me just for a quick
I'm
second, see if
plugging your
that
mic.
works. Yeah, it might be me. Hold on, give me one quick sec. All right, is that better? Let's see. I don't hear myself anymore. Oh, it is. I don't know what's going on. I hear myself. Hold on. It's like it's a delay. Like everything that I say right now, it's delayed and it comes back again, which is really weird. Do you hear anything on your end? Okay. I'm gonna jump off. You continue the show and I'll jump back on, okay? Hey Jay, I think you're on mute.
How did it mute me?
I have no idea, but now I can hear you.
Oh man. All right. So the whole time, or maybe when you logged on. Oh my god. Well, this is definitely week 1, right? We're like the refs right now, trying to figure out what's going on and try to get some new rules in. And we're not. This is a fun. This is definitely a weird weird podcast so far. But let's get through it. So for those, hope that wasn't muted the whole time. But Broncos are replacing Audric Estime for about 4 weeks due to an injury. Christian McCaffrey, who was supposedly out with the calf injury only, is now the Achilles tendon. Um, that's an issue too. And then we have Puka Nakua, Steve Oliva, and Joe Noteboom on injury reserve for the Rams for a little while. We got a little Puka Nakua back there, hassling Danny Ramirez. T. Higgins was not there for a hamstring. Obviously, week 1 when the Cincinnati Bengals got upset for the New England Patriots against the New England Patriots. Well, T. Higgins wasn't there at practice either today, so he wants a new contract. He's not happy. There's a calf injury. I don't know what's happening with his status, but obviously, definitely not good for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's see. So David Njoku is out against Jacksonville. He hurt his ankle against the Dallas Cowboys, so he's going to be out against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sean McDermott, Taron Johnson, and Duwan Smoot, they're out Thursday for the game tomorrow, against the Miami Dolphins. And of course, the going back to the Dolphins, Raheem Mostert is out now Thursday and then of course Devon Achan will be a game time decision. So two of their best running backs may not even be a go for the Miami Dolphins. Especially, Panthers officially placed Pro Bowl Derek Brown, defensive tackle, on injury reserve. He suffered in New Orleans knee injury. Dang, so the Panthers just looked totally atrocious against the New Orleans Saints, and then now you're one of your best players. That was probably one of your few bright spots on the team is on injury reserve. So that's not good. Let's see. So obviously, if you've been living under a rock, this is just comes into Kenneth Walker did not practice today due to an oblique injury. That was just 10 minutes ago from Adam Schefter. There's injuries. The crazy injury I mentioned last week. Can the Packers withstand all these injuries that are mounting up? Sometimes your team is great or good and considered a team that's going to make a push, but sometimes it gets hit by the injury bug, where just one person after another. AJ Dillon's already out for a year. There's several other people, and then now Jordan Love is out 3 to 4 weeks the least. So we'll see if they can weather the storm. They traded for Malik Mills, which I think is going to be a train wreck of a quarterback, especially being traded right before the season. Doesn't really know much, and then I think they play. Man, who do they play? I think they play the Indianapolis Colts. We'll do the schedule a little bit later, but I don't know that whoever's playing Green Bay, that defense might feast this weekend just because you have someone that doesn't really know the offense too much. And Matt LaFleur is a great offensive genius, so it is very schemed and schematic. So it might be a hard thing to latch on really quickly. So so Danny, we talked about the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker. We talked about Christian McCaffrey. People were saying he was out for the calf injury, but now they're saying it's his Achilles tendon also. So that's not good. Madden curse. Yeah. Here we go. And then
I thought of you when all these injury news came out of McCaffrey. But thanks for manning the ship while I was gone here. I don't know what was going on with my equipment. But I'm back.
Do you sound better? Everything sound good? And
no echo.
We don't have little Puka Nakua back there, or are we good? All right.
No Puka. No, we're good.
All right. No Puka Boo. All right. So so great stuff. So Justin Fields, the guy that you loved and adored in Chicago, he surprisingly gets the week 1 victory over the Atlanta Falcons because the supposed starter quarterback Russell Wilson gets injured during practice that week, and then last week, and then he's out. And then Brian Bosworth, no, not Brian Bosworth. That's old school football people. No, Chris Boswell, right?
Oh, Chris, the kicker, yeah.
No, there was a Brian Boswell too, right? That's the guy from
Bosworth. I think you're thinking of Brian Bosworth.
Yeah, there you go, man. All these Bosses going on. So Chris Boswell manages the ship for the Pittsburgh Steelers with 8 field goals or 7? I don't know. Like, he scored a lot, and that's how they won.
Yeah, it wasn't impressive. You look at the stats for Justin Fields. He had 50 yards rushing. He only had 100 yards passing, and that's the first thing that I looked at after the Bears game because Caleb Williams didn't have a good game, so I was curious to see how Justin Fields performed. And when I saw his stats, I was like, that's just Chicago Bears typical numbers. So I was kind of shocked by the lack of production, but it seems like Chris Boswell, to your point, was the MVP of that game.
And what was crazy, Danny, is Atlanta's got to do better. You got to show up for your team. So apparently half or more than half the stadium was Pittsburgh fans. And Atlanta ended up having to do a silent count in their own stadium. Like, that's not cool. That should never happen. So Atlanta Falcons fans, y'all need to show, especially with the new two new quarterback. There's a lot of things you can be happy for and try to push for. But so Pittsburgh Steelers fans show up away, and they helped their team get the victory. Um,
Yeah, I didn't expect that, and I think both you and I both picked the Atlanta to win last week. So
right. Yeah,
we
we
were
were
thinking
both
they were
wrong.
going to come out firing with Kirk Cousins. The offense, B. John Robinson was going to be more used, and it wasn't the case. So it was kind of surprising.
Yeah, speaking about firing, apparently Chris Boswell understood. He got the memo right because his leg was kicking and kicking. So, and
Hey, it wasn't just Boswell though. There was kicking was like the theme in week one.
oh, right. Oh man, my boy Brandon Aubrey. I said if obviously Cleveland Dallas wasn't close, but I said if it was close, I'm gonna trust my kicker. And then homie was 4 for 4 and just looking fresh and prime. And yeah, a lot of people, victory kicking, and then special teams, right? Cavante Turpin gets the first punt return of the season. Apparently Arizona got the first kickoff. So like in week one, there was a kickoff return. That I didn't see that highlight, but good for that guy.
Yeah, let's
Um,
talk about that because I know you and I were talking about how the new kickoff rule was going to play a role in this season, right? And so preseason it kind of didn't show anything. And then week one happened, and a lot of teams like there was a couple of run backs, right? I know the Bears almost had one to the house. I think it was DeAndre Carter almost took one. I think he took it to like the 40 of the other side. But Turpin took one back. DJ Dallas from Arizona took one all the way to the house. There was just a lot of good returns, and it seems like perhaps the special teams coordinators are like kind of scheming the blocking when it comes to kickoffs. And
right,
so now we didn't see that in the preseason. It's because probably they didn't want to give away those concepts, right? Before the actual regular
right.
season. But I think we're gonna start to see more teams actually take advantage of the new kickoff rule, and hopefully we may see a little bit more action when it comes to that.
And going back to Cavante Turpin, like hands, like it was such a great thing for me. Obviously, as a Cowboys fan, but like, so Bill Belichick has already credited him as like the best return in the game right now, right? Like even last year, he was like, yeah, there's no way that he's not the best. And he was always like one block away, because he's a small body, so it's a bigger guy. If they connect, like it's going to be harder for Turpin to get away. But man, for him to just do that speed and blocking was prime, and to get his first touchdown on a punt return, like that was so exciting for him. Yeah, man, there's so much going in week one. Like the Isaiah Likely game. Oh my god, like Ravens were almost there, then not there, and then Lamar Jackson had Likely open the first play, and then had Zay Flowers wide open in the second play. So technically, it shouldn't have even come down to the whole tiptoe to the mirror thing.
That was actually, I mean, they lost by a toenail, which sucks, right? The
Dang.
last play of the game, and
Yeah.
his toe was out of the bounds. And I don't know if you saw like the post game interaction between Isaiah Likely and I think he sent out a message to the Chiefs saying, if that's the best you got, then I
Right.
feel good about
Yeah.
our chances in the playoffs.
Yeah. We'll just wait till the preseason. I mean, I like it because I'm like the Chiefs almost lost another week one inaugural game. I mean, because technically I think the Ravens kind of outplayed them. They just did a few dumber plays. Or the Chiefs did a few dumber plays that just helped them, like excel. So did you hear that after the game, everyone started calling him Kadarius Tony?
Tony. It took me a little bit.
I know. I was like, "Come on, Danny."
Like,
Yeah, they go. They're like, "Hey, I thought we got rid of Kadarius Tony," and then
Tony.
but yeah, poor guy. So, but my personal favorite game of week one, I think, was the Rams and the Lions. I mean, going into overtime,
Yeah.
and then the rookies. I felt bad for the Rams because the rookies, this is the first NFL game, and they got to feel like the animosity in Detroit, and just so tired in overtime, and you could just see the exhaustion, right? Like they were just getting pushed back 2 to 3 yards every play. So then the runner was able to run 5 to 7 yards average. And then it was just the physicality of the Lions at the end was just no match for the Rams. And then they get hit with the injury book. So that's still not going to help the Rams. But yeah, I think that was the best game, to my opinion, this weekend. What about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that was the best way to close out week one, or Sunday, I should say. Week
Yeah, because
one of Sunday.
the Monday, apparently the New York Jets stayed in New York. So
Yeah, they didn't show up at all. But yeah, I was just impressed with the way that they kind of ran the ball down the throat of the Rams defense to start overtime.
Right.
And they didn't show that. Like that wasn't a part of their game plan, through the first four quarters of it. So it was impressive to see that they were able to do that with David Montgomery. Jameer Gibbs looked good. I wasn't all that impressed with Goff. I mean, he made some nice long passes from time to time to Jamison Williams, but their defense, their offense, they look like they're ready to compete this year. I don't think there's going to be any drop off for the Lions, and I think that was what I was concerned about. Was are they going to be the same team after losing the NFC Championship? And they clearly showed they are.
Right. And going back to that game, like you said, the running and all that, what was so awesome to me was Dan Campbell in overtime turned into Dan Campbell. What does he want from his team? And we're gonna punch him straight in the jaw and physical. And I don't think they passed one time. Like they ran and
No,
ran and ran, and then like the exhaustion of the Rams were just like, dude, like we're out of gas, coach. Like I'm sorry, we're out of gas. Because I mean, it was just 5 to 7 yards an average. I mean, they just looked exhausted. But you know what? Like, what's good about that too? Going back to rookies, right? Them getting tested, especially the youth on the defense of the Rams. Tyler Guyton going against Myles Garrett for your first game. I mean, like that's a great test. You know what I mean? Like there are several rookies. Like the Tennessee Titans don't have a no joke defense. So Caleb Williams got to live that experience, like going against strong, one-on-one, face-to-face opponents to what you need to get better at was definitely hands down the best thing for several teams and several players.
yeah. You know what? You bring up a good point when it comes to passing, and I know you mentioned the rookies because the rookies were on clear display about them struggling, right? I think after the preseason, we all put too much stock into it, thinking that they were going to come into the regular season and light it up, and it didn't happen. But not, it didn't happen to no fault of their own. I think the defenses were better equipped to go against them, right?
Right.
And then also, like, they weren't the only ones that struggled with passing. Like, you had Joe Burrow, who had a horrible week. You had, who else? Like, Patrick Mahomes didn't have, like, eye popping numbers either, right? It
A
was,
lot of people didn't.
yeah. And I think, I don't know if you saw this, but it was the lowest level of
Passing
passing
yard.
for week one since 2007. And if you think
Damn.
back to 2007, offenses were run differently back then, right? It was mainly good defenses, run the football. I mean, you had a Darius Tomlinson or LaDainian Tomlinson at that time. You had
Right.
Adrian Peterson at that time. So a
Brandon
lot of the
Jacobs.
offenses, yeah, a lot of the offenses revolved around running backs. And so now this makes me wonder, are we going back in time and are we now putting more stock into the impact a running back makes? Because we saw Saquon Barkley make a huge difference in week one, right? We saw Mixon make a good difference, and then we just talked about the Lions. The Lions showed us exactly, how powerful having a good running back game, is for a team, especially in overtime.
Right. And well, I mean, you look at Tennessee too, right? Like they were physical more than the
Yeah,
Bears the whole game, and then Will Levis, I don't know what he was thinking. Let me lob it in the air and give him a free gimme, which was the most boneheaded play I think of week one, and yeah, like there's a lot of running backs that's going to get their due this year, I think, and then it's going to be funny because now they're gonna have all these people eat their crow, right? Because they're like, hey, we're gonna evolve too, and we're gonna get better because like we know that you guys are just laughing at us because it's all about the quarterback. So like you said, a lot of things repeat itself. Like you said, rookie quarterbacks going into week one. Oh man, it's tough. There was who someone won. Who was the rookie that won this week?
Caleb
Caleb. Okay,
Caleb
yeah.
Williams. Yeah,
Yeah, see, look, his stats didn't blow me away, so I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to think of the passing thing, but he was the
loss, right? Because of that, I guess.
yeah, yeah, and he was the first rookie to win on being like a top 10 number one pick or whatever since like
Top
2002 or something.
Yeah, it was number one picks have not won since 2002, and the last person was David Carr.
and yeah, exactly, against the Cowboys. And it wasn't even his, like, Carr did. I think Carr did more for his team that game than Caleb did than in this game. But a team, you win, you play to win the game, right? So it doesn't matter if it's special teams, defense, offense, whatever. And I brought it up to you all last week, you and Gabe and whoever's listening. The Bears were the number one scoring defense and special teams the last 6 weeks of last year. And if you look at it, they continued their tandem, because what won the game? The special teams and the defense.
Yep.
They
The
scored
Bears
2
recipe.
touchdowns. Nope, Bears. Yeah. You know what? But that's what when you guys won the Super Bowl, Danny, what was the greatest part of your team?
Yeah, it was our defense.
Overall
Our
defense. Yeah.
offense, I mean,
You
our
had
offense,
sweetness.
yeah. You're talking about 85, right?
Yeah,
85
you had
Bears.
you had Walter Payton, you had Walter Sweetness Payton, but after that, the defense was the highlight. Like, everyone else was
Yeah.
just pieces put together. So
It
yeah,
was it was up and down, right?
right,
And granted, I wasn't alive back then, but just seeing the highlights, I think there was good flashes of the offense, and then they had to rely on their defense, and their
right,
defense came through lots of times. So, yeah, I get what you're saying with the Bears. I think that they show that they are like at least a playoff caliber defense, right? They're
right.
gonna keep the Bears in games, and he just has to figure it out. Caleb Williams does. I mean, the offense needs to figure it out.
He
I
he
think the
will.
I think the way that they play called for him was kind of crappy. Um, they didn't roll him out that well, and then of course, I don't know if you saw the highlights for the Titans, but their defensive line is no joke either. Like
Well, that's what I
Andre
said.
Sweat,
Like, yeah, like I said,
that
their
dude's a
defense
monster.
is a great. Their defense should be really good, and they're the reason why you guys stayed. Like, they were ahead most of the time.
Yep.
So yeah. So Caleb will have his few bumps here and there, but like I told you and Gabe last week, bold prediction on the division. Like, what happens if the Packers fall 1-3, 1-4 before Jordan Love gets back? Like, that's going to be a hard mountain to climb. I mean, Tom Brady possibly couldn't even come back 1-4, especially in the NFL. Usually, when you're like, what, 0-2 or 0-3, like, your percentages of making the playoffs like shrink dramatically within those 3-4 first weeks. If you're
Yeah.
0-2, 0-3, like, it's a hard climb in the NFL, especially the Green Bay has a tough schedule. So, like, that's why I said the Lions and I think the Bears will compete towards the end to see maybe the Bears make wild card, but like, I think that they'll compete with them, and the Packers, because of their injuries, and I called it even before Jordan Love got hurt, that it was gonna hurt them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to your point, it's gonna be it's tough for them to make the playoffs unless they do win.
Right.
During I don't know. I mean, I think their offense didn't look too good um after he went down. Um and I don't know. I mean, I wasn't impressed with Jacobs. Were you? With the way that he was running the football?
I missed the
He kind
game.
of struggled. Oh, you did? Oh, that's right. You were
Remember,
working.
I was at the high school football ESPN.
Yeah, so Jacobs, I mean, struggled pretty much like the whole game. And he had a couple nice runs towards the end on the fourth quarter, and that's usually
Yeah, when
when I
garbage
think,
time.
well, it wasn't really garbage because it was still close, right? But I think it took a little bit for him to see those openings and take advantage. But I wasn't impressed. I actually feel like they probably got worse in the running back position because Aaron Jones knew how to run the ball behind that offensive line. Now Jacobs is trying to figure it out, and I don't know. I don't know. Jones looked good with Minnesota.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. You lose AJ Dillon for the year. Josh Jacobs, I think, is more of a schematic, schemed running back. Like, if he fits your system, if you like tell him exactly what's going on, because Aaron Jones is great at the one cut improv and then taking off, and Aaron Jones is more, I think, prognosed to fit in with more teams and more schemes than a Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, yeah, but it's gonna be interesting to see how they come together. With Love kind of recuperating from that injury. I thought it was worse than it was. So luckily, at least it's not season
They're
ending.
very lucky.
Yep.
So what's crazy too is so we had an upset. The New England Patriots go into Cincinnati, Ohio, and say, we're about to shoot these Bengals, and they did. And I told you last week, I've told you all off season, their drama and Burrow being pretty boy Burrow is going to catch up to them and it's just going to ruin them.
And that's exactly what happened. I think there's too much distraction in that locker room.
Right.
You have Jamar Chase wanting a new contract, and I don't know if you saw his press. It wasn't really a press conference. It was more reporters interviewing him at his locker when he, ended his holdout last week. But it wasn't. It wasn't a good situation. It didn't look good. Even though he was there and he talked about being a team guy and all of that, like you could tell his facial expressions, his body language, just didn't want to be there. He felt
Right.
like it was probably a slap in the face for him not to get a new contract, which he does deserve. I mean, he came into the league and sets, a lot of good records for the Bengals. And it took him to a Super Bowl. Like, come on, that dude made a huge difference for Joe Burrow and that offense. And then now you're dealing with T. Higgins, right? He's not playing. He's hurt. Is his heart really in it? I like the Bengals not to be a division favorite, but I wanted them to be competitive, at least be like the number 2 team in that
You had
division.
them at number 2 and I told you they were going to be 4. Like I told you they were
Yeah,
going to be rock bottom. And it right now if they don't get it together, you and I can be right and wrong. Like I can be right by them being rock bottom, or you if they get it together, then they have the talent to get to be number 2. But with this distractions, it's just gonna keep hurting them. Like
yeah,
I told you, Gabe, and whoever before these podcasts and all that stuff years ago, I said, even though I'm an Oregon Duck fan, if you get recruited by NASA, it shows your intelligence, and then you choose football and the schematics of the physicality. I told you, Gabe, everybody that I would draft Justin Herbert over Joe Burrow. Did I not? And
yeah.
right now, the injuries are showing true to fashion. Herbert got his first injury last year, but Burrow is always, you know, looking pretty, getting hurt, then coming back, and then there's drama in Cincinnati, then getting hurt. So it's like, dude, come on now. Like, granted, you went to Super Bowl because your team clicked at the right time, and it was just perfect. You had a great offense, great team, like the coaching staff, all that stuff was clicking. But to sustain that success, like a Mahomes or a Brady or just people overall, like the Peyton, the Mannings, for instance, like because they didn't always win Super Bowls, but they were always in contention. Like you got to be healthy, and two, you got to stop with the drama. So yeah, I still stand tall with that. I would draft Justin Herbert in that group over anybody that was drafted.
It's a scary situation for sure in Cincinnati because there's just a lot of things that are spiraling out of control. And to your point with Joe Burrow consistently getting hurt, that doesn't help their cause either. And honestly, like if they can't pay, Jamar Chase, if they can't pay T Higgins, the outlook for team like for players to come to that team and play alongside Joe Burrow or whoever's there is not going to happen because you're already putting a bad taste in future free agents like mouths.
Right.
And I honestly wouldn't want to go there to play, right? And then also you also have to think about like even when Joe Burrow is healthy, what have they accomplished? I know they've been to 2 AFC championships, they went to 1 Super Bowl, but after that, like what has happened, right? He's been hurt, he hasn't made the playoffs. A lot of drama with the contract negotiations, so it's not looking good.
Yeah, Cincinnati's got a massive dilemma, and going back to your topic about Jamar Chase, I think as soon as T Higgins was like, "Nah, man, I'm kind of out. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, y'all don't want to pay me. You don't franchise tag him, and then you just pay number one. Like, that's what I would have done. Like, hey, man, if you're gonna be a little dramatic and make it hard on us, because after they paid number one, they could have went in free agency and got someone else that could have taken T Higgins' spot.
Yeah.
So I think they mishandled that completely. Like if one guy doesn't want to be there and you're still waiting to pay the other guy from his rookie contract, that's going to take a massive chunk of your paycheck or your checks. Like you got a massive dilemma.
Yeah, and then also like the running back position, that's a big question mark. Yeah, they got Zach Moss. He always gets hurt. He had a touchdown, but I mean, is that really your future? I don't think so. I think that's more like a band-aid, right?
I think since there's in any organization or any sport, right? There's always all these organizations, And Cincinnati, I guess, just showing that they're going to be one of them. Like you go from baseball to NBA to like, well, we're a small market team. Well, yeah, you're a small market team because you don't push to pay for the best when it matters most. You're always going to be a small market team if you don't think big. Like,
Yeah,
hey man, like I can bring you in, we'll pay you this much, we'll bring you another superstar. Like, think bigger, and then you won't be a small market team. Like, it
exactly.
makes no sense. And
That blows my
Cincinnati's
mind that
just
they don't realize that.
right, yeah, and Cincinnati's doing the same thing right now. Like, well, like we got cash, but we're like they don't have Jerry Jones cash, but they don't have his power to fiddle with the damn Russian roulette of like free agency and contracts like he does. Like he's the owner of the damn Dallas Cowboys. He's Jerry Jones, big headed in the limelight. He's got a lot of power, right? And then you're the Cincinnati Bengals who have never won a Super Bowl, and you're trying to play free agent market roulette. Like it's not gonna work.
No, I'm a big believer in pay the best players you have on the team because the
Yeah, and
draft
you
is
got to
not
keep
easy in
them
the NFL.
together. Yeah,
Yep.
it's hit or miss, and you got to keep the great things together to add to it. Because if you lose that and then you miss in the draft, it's gonna be even worse.
Hey, I know that I was, trying to fix all my equipment and the technical difficulties that we had, but did you talk about the NFL news yet or no?
I talked about the most of the injuries. I left the two things that we were going to talk about so we can do it together.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we could do that towards the end if you like.
No, we could do that
Um,
now.
you want to do it now?
Yeah,
All right,
because like
let's do it
next
now.
we'll do it after because it'll be before week 2. So the
Okay.
breaking news, the NFL news, the two highlights of the schematics of the NFL right now. Danny, you go with yours first, and then the ones that we heard today.
All right. So basically, I wanted to bring up Hassan Reddick's situation, and we talked about the Jets briefly, and their disappointments, their disappointed performance on Monday. And honestly, like I expected much more from their defense. I expected a more dominant defense, and they started off like the first series. They were dominant, right? They got to Purdy, they stopped the run, they were aggressive. But then after a little bit, Jordan Mason got going, Debo got going, and then the rest was history. And then it was kind of weird to also see, um, um what's his name? I always do this crap. I always forget their names. Like I know, oh, Sauce Gardner. Thank you. So Sauce Gardner,
You answered your own question, and then I was like, "All right, you're
yeah,
welcome. You're welcome, sir."
like I know these players, names by heart, and then all of a sudden
Right.
when I'm talking, like I forget it. But anyways, yeah. So he was hurt. Did you see the game? He got hurt,
All
and
right.
I think it was like a shoulder injury or something like that.
Yeah, and after
He
that,
stepped out. Yeah, after that he was non-existent. Everybody was catching things around him. I don't even know he came back. Um, but he got hurt. C.J. Mosley got hurt, and then once that happened, like you know, the seas parted for Jordan Mason. Um, and so I'm saying all this because it sucks that they're supposed to have an elite defense, and then you have a player like Hassan Reddick, who they traded for, is just holding out and giving up $800,000 per game because he doesn't want to be there. He wants to prove his point. And so this is just a bad look on the whole, organization as it is. Robert Sala, who's supposed to be a defensive-minded coach, again, in 2 years that he has his stacked defense roster, like it has not been impressive. Like it's been a normal, average defense with a few little sprinkle plays here and there. But yeah, that's just as really concerning for me because what's gonna happen is Hassan Reddick gonna get his what he wants? Is he gonna get what he wants and gets traded? Is he gonna get what he wants and gets more money? Or is this gonna be just like a cat and mouse game the whole season where it ends up being a distraction? So yeah, I think that's a horrible situation right now to be a part of, and I'm just curious to see what happens. What do you think?
woo! All right, I got a lot on the Jets. I didn't think I was gonna have this much on the Jets after week 1, but I do after seeing the damn game on Monday night. I even picked him to win for an upset, but here we go. So Hassan Reddick, we'll start with that because that's your main topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has never played for the New York Jets. Your team traded you away. The the Philadelphia Eagles traded you, Hassan Reddick, to the New York Jets. It's not like you're there the whole time and you're holding out because you want to prove that you deserve money. Come prove it then. And two, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, like there's Stephon Diggs. They trade Stephon. He was like, all right, cool. But if you were there on that organization and then they don't want you, then I can see you saying, hey, man, I want out or I want more money. What are you going to do? You're going to hold out for all this time and then get traded to the Panthers that could give you a rich contract, but you're going to be on the worst team in the NFL? Like, really?
Yeah.
You can show up and then possibly get Aaron Rodgers on a groove and then help that defense and probably win the damn division. Because I think the Bills are going to have a slumped year compared to what they've been the last 3 years. The Dolphins, like Tua and stuff, like their health is always a scary thing. And yet you want to complain that you want more money when you've never played for the damn organization one time.
Yeah. That was well said.
I am sick of these like baby drama. Like, hey, New York, I'm down. Give me $1 million. I'll pretend I know what's going on out there, but at least I'll show up. But yeah, it makes me mad that these guys want to be. This ain't the NBA. Like, you can't just like, oh no, I want to go play over there because LeBron's over there. No, this is the NFL, National Football League. Show up, prove to them that you're worth the damn money, and then they will pay you. Like, why would they not? But you can't baffle and be all upset when I want money. You've never played a damn down for the organization.
$800K is a lot of money too. Like, I think there comes a time where it starts to hurt your pocket.
One of them has to break, and it's going to be him because they're obviously not going to move. They think that they have a championship caliber team and that they want him to be a part of. And I agree. Just show up, show us what you're worth, and then if we don't win the championship and we can't offer you the contract you want, we'll trade you away. But you can't demand money. Like, and that's like me going to your boss right now. You're like, oh yeah, I got my boy Justin. Like he's pretty cool. You should hire him. Then I show up, be like, yo, dog, what's up? I want your salary. What's up, bro? Okay, I've never done a damn thing for your organization. Time out here. Like it ticks me off on his part. Like, I get that you're an elite player. Like, I've seen it. Like, I've seen you're the Eagles. You guys went to the Super Bowl. You wrecked it. I get that part. From Arizona to Philly, like, you have been a dog. But when you get traded to New York, you become a damn chihuahua and it's all bark because you don't even show up.
And I think what's even, like, putting myself in the shoes of the Jets organization, like, I honestly would be scared to pay him what he wants. Because if you think back to when he started his NFL career, he got drafted by the Cardinals and wasn't the pass rusher that we knew him in Philadelphia or even in Carolina. Like, that, I think, came with development, right? And so you're putting all this money to the production that you've seen on another team, and you just don't know if it's going to translate, right? So it sucks because, to your point, I completely agree with you. I think he needs to be there. He needs to be producing with his teammates. He could make that defense even better, but instead he wants to be selfish and he wants more money, even though he was traded for.
What was the worst part of that defense on Monday? Their stopping defense. Exactly. And he could have helped. He could have provided. And you let a rookie just run all over you, and you're supposed to be a top 5 defense, if not maybe number 1. Are you kidding me right now? And okay, man, you got me going with these damn Jets because I feel bad for Mike Greenberg and all those Jets fans because if I am waking up as them this week, I'm pissed. Hassan Reddick over here, playing lollygag, acting like he showed up one time and had 12 sacks in one game. No, dude, you didn't play one damn play in our organization yet. And then 2, Robert Saleh is supposed to be this damn genius on defense. You got shredded by a rookie running back. You guys didn't show up, period. And then you have like the offense too. Like what are we calling? Like what plays Nathaniel Hackett? I honestly think Matt LaFleur helped Nathaniel Hackett the whole damn time. And then now he's trying to prove right that everyone was wrong and I'm good. Well, honestly, just go back to the basics. I think he's trying to overthink it and over scheme things. You have a rookie or a young wide receiver in Garrett Wilson in his what third year, who's consistently provided you 1,000 yards with a crappy play at quarterback. Make it easier for him. Make it easier for everybody else. Run the damn ball most of the time if you want. Aaron Rodgers ain't 20. He's 40. Like I told you last week, a few weeks ago, the New York. Or we're gonna go back to my text too. So I was like, damn, I didn't get to do my third bold prediction of the year to you and Gabe. I texted you both, so you can attest this. By week 4, the Brian Dable, Daniel Jones marathon circus is gonna be like blown the hell up with their GM, and like the Giants are gonna be like done with them. So going back to that, I said Brian Dable and Dennis Allen was going to probably be the first 2 coaches on the hot seat, right? I'm adding Robert Saleh on that now because you can't tell me that you have a damn great team and then just show up that flat on national television and expect to just be okay. You guys got to go to Tennessee, who lost also, so they're going to be angry. So it's 2 away games with 2 good defenses. Oh, no, by the way, that team has a Tony Pollard and a Marcus and a whatever Spears. I forget his first name.
Oh, Tajay. No, now
yeah,
no, it's not
Tajay
Tajay
Spears, right?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
Tajay Spears. So you have a Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, and yet you couldn't stop no damn rookie on Monday night. Yeah, good luck.
yeah. I wasn't impressed, and I know you mentioned the Giants. I completely agree with you there too. It just seems like it's a bad situation in both sides of town, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be a New York fan right now in football.
Yeah, it's tough. Baseball is okay, but football, yeah. But I wasn't impressed with going back to the Jets. I wasn't impressed with Rodgers. I was expecting more. You could tell he knows where he's going with the football. He took advantage of that offsides play and got a touchdown from it. So like all that, he still has that. He still has the mental side of the game. But you could tell he looks slow. Like when he was being pressured, he was hard. It was hard for him to kind of maneuver within the pocket, and that's what he's known for. He's known to kind of escape that rush, and he wasn't able to do it. Granted, I don't know if it's the pass rush from the Niners because they are good, but again, with this week coming up with the Titans, we'll see again how he's able to maneuver within that pocket when the middle's collapsing.
Right, and you
so
get
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost this game either.
If they fall 0-2, it's gonna be hell on earth in New Brunswick, in Jersey or whatever. Yeah, I think they play in Jersey, right? So
Jersey, yeah,
yeah, and like it's gonna be a shaking of a tree because you brought in Tyron Smith from the Cowboys. You steal him. You bring these pieces together to protect him. Well, what if that they're just older too? Like they're not young.
yeah.
You brought older guys to block an older guy or block for an older guy. Like run the ball, make it easier on all of them, and get a momentum, get a group. Like Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to be 25-year-old Aaron Rodgers with this support, like with this team. Like he does. Like did Peyton Manning look like 25-year-old Peyton Manning the last time he won a Super Bowl in Denver? Hell no.
Nope.
That was what was it? It was the lowest amount of passing yards in a quarterback winning Super Bowl champion ever in the NFL because his defense stepped up. That's what you got to do. When Tom Brady won the Super Bowl, his defense was what? Top 5, number 1 probably in the playoffs for sure. Like he didn't have to be that outstanding to win the game. Yeah. And this is what the Jets have. Run the ball, let Rodgers chill. Like I told you, Tony Pollard, Matt Gallop, like all these people, when you get injured and you get messed up that quick, it takes a year and a half. Like it doesn't take just like, oh, here's a surgery, 6 months, go play ball. Like no, the tightness that your body guys get used to running differently. Like Tony Pollard is going to be way better than he was last year to start the season. I promise you that. Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, after their injuries, are going to take a bit to get to where they even close to what they used to be. Like that's just how the body schematics works. And then Atlanta drafts a quarterback. So if they give up on Kirk too quickly, then he's going to be one and done in Atlanta, just like Russell was in Denver. And then that's just going to be a whole nother mess for Atlanta. But
the common theme here for both of these quarterbacks, both Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers. You mentioned their injuries, right? It's a serious injury, but what do they both have? They have a good defense on paper, and they have a good running back, and they
Right.
have an improved offensive line. Take advantage of it.
Supposedly. But yeah, so that's when I'm like the offense core and the head coach, like, let's make it easier for them to get in their momentum. Like, let's run the ball 30. Like, if they ran Reese Hall the whole damn game, I think the Jets could have probably at least made it closer or possibly won because one, your defense ain't stopping the run on the other side. So at least it gives you time. It gives you more time of possession. And
Yep.
two, like, at least you're like badgering the ram with the same ram that's hitting you. If they're running, run back. Look what Detroit and Detroit did to LA. Like, all right, man, like we did the finesse game. Now let's just go smash mouth and end this damn thing right now. And like the Jets are supposed to be physical. I never saw any of that on that defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love the passion. I think you could have fooled me. I could have thought you were a Jets fan right now, but
Dude, like I'm like I like you said, like me, you, Gabe, and other people are talking about, like, we have expectation now because if Rodgers stays healthy, that should be at least a playoff contending team. But if you
yeah,
show up flat like this every other week or whatever, you ain't going nowhere, and your ass is gonna be fired, Robert Saleh, hands down. Like this year, if you don't make it to the playoffs, you're done. Like there's no gimmies anymore. Like you don't have a
no,
Jerry Jones, like a Mark, like you can't go kiss him. I love you, and then like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like no, they're gonna. This is New York, and they're gonna be like, bro, like we've given you the pieces. What are you doing?
yeah. There's no excuse no more. He either gets to the playoffs or he's out. And
Whew.
Dable just has to figure it out. Dable needs to fucking win because if he does it, he's not even gonna make it past the end of the season. I think
Who knows?
him and
Robert
Shane.
Saleh and Brian Daboll might be coaching together another team next year. One offensive coordinator,
Yeah,
one defense coordinator.
that's true. That could happen for sure.
Whew. Yeah, man, I,
All
I
right,
was
so
I was mad about the Jets for sure.
yeah, I know. I felt the same frustration as you did, and honestly, I was looking forward to that Monday Night Football game and to see that
Right, and it was
performance.
the most boring game of all the ones that we watched.
Yeah, it really was. I know you have some news for us, so you could share your news. Go for it.
Whew. All right, so you did Hassan Reddick, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Watson, I guess Monday another woman filed a legal action to him again, and I don't know if it's in Cleveland or if she's in Houston, but I'm like, granted, I'm not saying this dude's innocent. I'm not saying like he's never done anything that put himself in this situation. But I'm like, Cleveland traded for him. He was getting away from all that drama. He's probably on a short leash. Like, I doubt that Cleveland let him put himself in the situation to get into this again. And then apparently the lawyers are like, look, this chick has no evidence, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's going to be innocent, but we told him not to talk and, just leave it, let it be. And I just pray that what's sad, Danny, like what's sad about, especially in this country, if a girl kind of hurts a guy's feelings physically, we gotta own up to it, be a man, and be like, oh, what? She like touched, she patted you, bro. Like, calm down. But if a girl, it happens to a female, like, granted, I'm not saying that we're out there, trying to touch all these people and do stupid things, but I'm like, let's not make it about money. And then if he really hurts you, because if let's say she's doing this about money and he really did hurt someone else, I'm like, you're putting her pain into a mockery just because you want a little limelight. Like that is effed up. So I'm like, I doubt that he and Cleveland put themselves in a situation for him to fail like this again. Like, emotionally and mentally, he's still not there. Like, you could see the Cowboys game. Like, the Cowboys defense were flying. Like, Overshown was the guy that I said he was going to be. Like, everything looked exactly how I wanted to on defense. But the fact is, the past few years, Deshaun Watson is still not the same guy. Like,
Yeah,
he's gone through a lot here, and then it's hurt here. So I'm like, he's not the same. And then now you get another person to say that he did stuff, and it's hopefully he didn't. But at the same time, like, damn, like if he did hurt someone before, and you're just doing this to try to get something, then you're mocking that other person's pain, and that's effed up.
Yeah. No, you bring us some good points there. And honestly, I can't remember another instance where we've seen a player of his caliber, right? He started off really good his whole career.
Oh
And
man,
then all of a sudden, all this happened and it kind of just spiraled out of control. And now he's kind of like, you know,
he's
maybe
barely
worse than a
average.
backup.
He's
Yeah, he's probably
barely
worse
average.
than a backup.
Right.
And it sucks that, he has to continue to go through this. It sucks that more people are coming out. If it's true, who knows? But I think at this point for the Browns organization, they just need to cut their losses and just say, you know what, there's nothing we could do. We don't have we don't need the distraction anymore. We need to be focusing on our season. It's early in the season. They
Right.
have a capable quarterback in
Week
Jameis
one.
Winston. Yeah, and their defense is no joke. I mean, they were making the game pretty close until the turnovers happen, and Dallas did what Dallas does, and they turned the ball over. Once that all happened, it kind of just spiraled out of control there too. So I don't know. I just think it's still early on in the year. They need to cut their losses. They need to focus on Jameis Winston leading them or whoever they choose, and go from there. They need to capitalize on the great defense they have around the quarterback, the offense, and that'll keep them in games. They just got to keep it. And then look at what's going on in the AFC North, right? You have the Bengals kind of going through their own kind of drama. This
Right.
is the time to take advantage of it. The Steelers, I
Right.
don't even know what they are.
Right.
So
Yeah, they won by field goals, so they may not even score points when it comes to the division.
yeah, yeah. Here's your chance. You got to take advantage. And I
Oh
think
man.
we've seen enough, over 2 years to know that Watson, the old Watson's not going to come back. He's not
No.
going to take your teams to the playoffs. He's not going to your losses. Release it.
What worries me too about beyond the player is the person. Like I don't think he's 100% innocent, but also I don't think he did all this stuff. And like that can dwell on an individual. And then like I mean, there's a lot of NFL players that have cut their life short in the last few years because of like pain, emotionally, mentally, whatever. Like there's been people that just I'm out, and I'm like, man, what if there's a possibility that he might cut his life short because of all the mental and emotional pain of all this going on. Because I mean, like you said, like he was in talk at one point to be MVP of the NFL with the Houston Texans. I mean, that Deshaun was lighting up the world, and we're like, and at that time they were like, dude, we found the guy. We're gonna be on our
Mm-hmm.
way in the AFC, and then all of a sudden, there's just boom, all this like massive stuff blew up. So I'm like, damn, like there's this guy has gone, like you said, I've never seen such a beautiful rise, and it was like a roller coaster, right? Like right before the big fall, that's what it was. Like boom, this dude's gonna be the next heir apparent, and then boom, it just crashed, and then it just it's just he has not recovered, and it's what I would have hoped for him is from his agent, parents, NFL. They should have let him take probably 2 years off. Like, hey man, we'll like watch you, make sure you don't get into trouble, but like, like we'll support you, get through this mentally and emotionally, and then put him back on the field. Because when and especially in the NFL, in this sport, you have to have all three phases functioning: mentality, physicality, and emotion. And if you don't have all three put together, it is not going to work. Like you said, is T Higgins all in with Cincinnati right now? He didn't want to play with his contract anyway, so he might just linger his injury. But if you're Deshaun Watson, it's hurting up here. So I'm like, it's taking a worse toll than that on him than
Yeah.
anybody else.
And I guess the sad thing about it all is that you see it as an NFL fan. You see his struggle, which
Right.
sucks.
Whew. All right. So the next big one, Danny. Oh man, I can't believe this happened. And honestly, I don't like politics. You and I always talk about like I honestly I watched the debate, some of it yesterday just because my dad was watching and we're eating dinner. And
Me too.
um I mean, obviously I don't like it, but oh the the man on the podium definitely failed for sure because all the stuff he was saying. I'm not even gonna talk about politics, but it didn't help his case either that white police officers in Florida handcuffed Tyreek Hill and handcuffed Calais Campbell trying to get to the game. And yet there's another like, well, we're gonna put those officers on leave. We're gonna investigate. And do you know, Danny, that when all this stuff happens and once these actions start happening, the police force and all those people like in law enforcement, they can retire and still get their pension even though they have a pending case of racism or whatever from
I
like
didn't know that.
abusing a woman or racism or whatever. Like they can take their pension and run, and then I mean they're still in trouble, but the pension just goes to their families.
Wow.
So I'm like,
But
oh,
but that's if like they're on administrative leave, right? If they're sent to administrative leave, I think that's when they still get their pension. But if they're fired completely, I don't think they still get their pension.
no, they have the option to resign before the firing so they can get their pension.
Oh, I see.
So technically, they don't get in trouble. They just like a slap on the wrist and peace out. Just go live your life
That's crazy.
and find another
That
job.
sucks.
But yeah, so yeah, who? But anyway, like it doesn't help the politic running right now for a certain someone because you have possibly a few racist officers detaining a and like he said it best. My God, he couldn't have said better. And all he said was a few words and his name. What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? What if I was just some innocent black man? Well, this is what he said between the lines. What if I was an innocent black man that wasn't a big name? Would it have hit the bigger news? Would have it been a bigger story? And what would they have done with him after that?
Yeah.
And even in the body cam, he's like, "Bro, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything." And they're just still like, "Blah blah blah blah," click click click, and like it's just like, what is going on?
I think there was two wrongs. I think both of them being a mistake, right? The officers, of course, they they used, or I shouldn't say, they enforced their power in a way that they shouldn't be enforcing their power to anyone.
Right.
And secondly, like the way when he got pulled over, I don't know if you saw the other footage that came out. It's the footage of the officer on the motorcycle, and you see Tyreek Hill just kind of fly by that street. So he was speeding, of course, right? That's the reason why they pulled him over. But then at the beginning of that traffic cam or the body cam footage, they're knocking on the window and telling him to roll down the window. And he, of course, he's making it difficult. He's saying, no, blah, blah, blah. Why are you knocking on my window so hard? Whatever words were exchanged. I think that was wrong on his end
Right.
because he should have complied with the orders, right? It could have been, the situation could have been different if maybe he was more accepting of their commands or whatever. But then once he approached it that way, of course, the officers used their power and were pissed off that he wasn't listening to them. So they used excessive force. Um, and I think both of those things could have been avoided if it was just, done differently. But the good thing about this happening is that now he brings a bigger light to, what, African Americans have to go through in this country, right? And the racism that they encounter with the police. So I think that, it brings light to that, which is good. And hopefully something good comes out of it. What I didn't like on Tyreek's Hill on the other side was the mockery of it, right? On the game. I don't know if you saw
Oh,
his,
in
his
his
touchdown
celebration.
celebration.
Yeah.
Like, if you're feeling a certain way about the situation, right? If you're really upset about it, why would you make fun of it? You
Right.
know?
Well, yeah,
That,
he definitely shouldn't have done that. But
yeah.
that's where the NFL needs to step in and be like, look, bro, you may make money, you might be a possible Hall of Fame wide receiver soon, but
Yeah.
you're definitely not gonna pull that again. I'm pretty sure they're gonna warn him, and they might even fine him. To be honest.
They should. I mean, because I don't think that's the right thing to do, right? You shouldn't approach that situation. It's a serious situation. They shouldn't approach it that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the celebration was uncalled for. And then plus if you don't do that celebration, you show yourself you show that you're the bigger person out of the whole thing.
Exactly. Exactly. So sorry about that. I was plugged in my computer because it's about to
Um,
die.
I was like, little Puka's back or what?
No, no pukas here. Come on. But I'm trying to turn on my camera now, but my mouse is not working.
Bro, your
This
stuff
is
out
just a
there is just, man, it's been a
yeah.
fun
This
day.
is just a great day today.
Dude, week 2 of the NFL. Bro, on exciting news, I'm 48 hours of going to Kyle, Texas.
Kyle, Texas. What are you doing in Kyle, Texas?
I'm gonna go see Frank and the girls.
Nice. How long are you there
Yeah.
for?
Till Tuesday evening.
Sweet. You flying
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, 5 in the morning on Friday, and then one of his daughter's birthdays is that day, and then we're just gonna so we're gonna try to go so we're gonna tailgate at Texas's home game on Saturday, and we're gonna try to
Nice.
get in. And I was like, dude, maybe if I take my like ESPN credentials, we could probably just get in that way. It's like, dude, that'd be awesome. But yeah, so we're
Try
gonna
it.
we're just gonna have a fun weekend, man, for sure. But I'm excited.
Are you gonna go watch the Bears in Houston or no?
That would be awesome. But no, man, if I could pull tickets, that'd be dope. But yeah, of course, we're gonna cook out that Sunday and watch the Cowboys and hopefully beat the Saints. The Saints, I mean, it was against the Panthers, but I mean, you got to beat who you're supposed to beat, right? And that's what they did. They beat them down.
Yeah, they sure did.
Speaking of that, Danny, week 2, what's the schedule looking like? Here we go.
All right, let me share my screen.
Where's Gabe? Is he come on?
I don't know what Gabe's doing today. All right, let's do this. What is going on with my mouse? I can't. All right, can you see my screen?
A little bit. It's kind of blurry, to be honest.
It's blurry.
Yeah, it's not as big as last time.
Okay, hold
Because
on.
last time I was able to read it perfectly, but my glasses ain't. I don't have them on, so.
Come on, mouse. All right, hold on. I have to do this. All right, so let me see what's going on here. This probably looks really weird on camera. This positioning. All right, well, let's put it up. It still looks blurry. It looks good on my end.
Oh no, it's way better. It's
Okay.
like way bigger.
Perfect. All right, so let's start with Thursday night football.
Woo!
Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins.
This
Both
one
teams
is a
started-
tough game.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a tough game to call.
It really is because both teams didn't start off that good in their week 1 matchup, right? You had Miami, who was pretty much down the whole game, and then finally came
Both
on
of
late in
them.
the fourth quarter. Yeah. I mean, Buffalo, I think, was down, what, 17-0
Yeah,
or something like that?
yeah. Stupid Kyler Murray, typical. You could have had probably the biggest upset of the whole damn week, but no, you gave it to New England.
Yeah.
Woo!
But Buffalo, I know you and I both talked about Buffalo like in the offseason, right? And we mentioned that their schedule's not easy.
Xavier
So-
Worthy.
I know.
I'm never
Don't
gonna
even
forgive
remind
him.
me.
I'm never
Don't
gonna
remind
forgive
me.
him.
You and I, of course, recorded last week's episode before Thursday night's opener. But yeah, as soon as we saw the 2 touchdowns,
Yeah, what I text.
that Worthy had-
Stupid Bills.
yeah, I think America was saying that too. I think I heard it in a couple of network
Yeah.
programming across the Friday
If you-
shows. So
If you were gonna draft a receiver anyway, why would you give the guy who beat your ass every time the better one?
yeah, and maybe he's not the better. Maybe he's not. The
Or
better
he's
one,
maybe he's
but-
not. Keon Coleman's dope, but I'm just saying, like that firepower, that speed. I mean, why would
This
you
guy's a
trade with
weapon.
them? Why would you trade? Like, give him to the Panthers. Like, hey man, you want to trade? Cool. Like, you need players. Here you go. But the
Yeah.
Chiefs, really? Oh my god.
They gave him a weapon that they were lacking for the last couple of years, and they took.
Were they
advantage of it
lacking
week
though?
1.
I mean, were they lacking? I mean, they've won twice in a row.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a good point. Maybe they weren't lacking of it; they still were good enough to win Super Bowls. But you could tell their offense was different. Like their offense has not been the same since Tyreek Hill has left, and that's obvious. Like you can see in the passing numbers that Mahomes had, and just I mean, they were at one point even compared to like the greatest show on turf, right? In regards to like how fast and explosive they were. And since Tyreek Hill left, they haven't been as explosive. So now with Xavier Worthy, he fills that void. He's able to take that Tyreek Hill, role, and he showed it week 1. I know we're kind of off track here with
No, no, no.
talking about
Like this,
Buffalo Miami.
no, no. This is the exact. We're on right on track because we're on talking about Buffalo. Do you remember the old Christmas Ebenezer Scrooge one where like what is it? Duck. What's yeah, Scrooge, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what they named him in the uh DuckTales, right? But remember he like in the old cartoon, like he's like, "Oh, give me that," and then like it's like he takes all the cash and leaves it like one little penny looking thing for Mickey or whatever. And I'm like, that's what they gave the Chiefs. It was like, "Oh, here you go. Let me just take everything because we are not rich already, but here's a little thing for you. Just go have fun." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" But okay, so because Miami's at home and they finally need to get over that hump to beat Buffalo, and I think this is it. I think this is the game that they finally beat Josh Allen.
They're dealing with some injuries. I don't know if you saw Mostert's not playing.
Right.
Devon A Chain is questionable. It looks like he was
Yeah.
practicing
Game.
today.
Yeah,
So
it's a game time decision.
if they don't, I mean, of course, Mostert not being there is going to hurt them. A Chain has the potential to kind of fill that void, but if he doesn't play, then yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be closer than what people want to admit. But I still can't get a grasp into like the type of team that Buffalo is. Yes, they beat the Cardinals. They came back, but they struggled for most of the game. And I honestly don't know if that was the Buffaloes just kind of taking them lightly, or if it was the Cardinals being better than we thought.
Right. And
Um,
yeah, it was a team you're supposed to destroy.
yeah, and honestly, like before we start talking about the Chiefs, I was gonna say Buffalo has a really hard schedule. So if they're able to win this game here and knock off the Miami Dolphins, one, they'll be the division leaders, and then two, well, they may be tied in the division, right? Because Patriots might win again. Who knows? But they will have beaten two teams that they should have lost, right? I mean, and then going up against a hard schedule, like you need to win as many games as you can in order for you to make the playoffs.
Right.
So for now, they're playing with house money, and hopefully they just need to capitalize. And I honestly, like, if I had to pick this game, I would pick Miami simply because of their offensive firepower.
Right. And like I saw on one of the channels while I was at work, like can Josh Allen really sustain carrying the team the whole time? Like that's tough. And
Yeah,
it's just like, will he weather down? Like, look how many quarterbacks that start out hot and they just have to do so much, and then it just weighs on them through the year. And then when it matters the most, it just doesn't come through. So yeah, I think Miami gets this one at home. And we'll see what happens. So we're both picking Miami. The next game is the New Orleans Saints versus the Dallas Cowboys.
before we move on to this game, I want to ask you, because you mentioned right now Josh Allen having to be an MVP in order for them to win games. But if he does take that role, do you think that it's sustainable? Do you think he can do that all year long?
And until he can do it until January. But after that, the rest of the team has to come through because I mean, look at well, how many times I preach about Tony Romo? Like, I mean, he can't do everything, and then what happened in the playoffs? Like, defense not there, offense pieces not there. Like, it just you can't do it over and over and over. Like, your other part of your team has to step up at some point. So I think it's sustainable during the season, and if they luckily get into the playoffs, it won't sustain there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think he needs more support, and not just from the offensive side of the ball, but the defense too. They lost a lot of key players on defense. Yes, they started off really bad at first, but then it seems like they kind of got their footing and start getting pass rush. They got some good pass deflections, and um, that's what they need. They need a supporting cast around him because I don't think even if he does have really good performances week in and week out, there's going to come a point in time where he's not going to be able to do that all on his own.
Right. I agree.
All right, let's talk about the Cowboys. What are you thinking here?
Well, taking the Dallas Cowboys out of my fanfare, I still think they get the win. I think they bring the Saints back to reality and back home because, of course, they
Yeah.
played the Panthers last week, which you should destroy, and they did. Which hats off. And what was crazy is like that one touchdown where Derek Carr is like literally directing traffic in front of the entire Panther defense, and then somehow like they missed it. Like you're not
They
going to
went
be
the
able to do
opposite
that.
way.
Yeah, like and you're not going to be able to do that against Dallas defense. Like we saw Overshown's closing speed. Like he's either going to deck the hell out of you while you're doing that, or Diggs or someone's going to be there to pick it off. So I think that they're going to come back to reality, and Dallas will get the victory, and my boys will start 2-0. Thankfully, like I told you all from the jump, if they could start 2-1, that would be ideal because Baltimore, I think, is our toughest test, and that's next week. Because we'll destroy the Giants. I think. Well, I mean, we'll get to those weeks, but I'm like, I think Dallas is in a good position right here to sustain what they should right now to stay at top of the NFC. But yeah, I think Dallas wins. What about you?
Wasn't it great to see Diggs get some
Oh,
INT?
did you see him crying?
No, I
So
didn't.
like, so I didn't see it during like the game or whatever, but I saw it on Instagram and one of the Cowboys Cowboys pages Diggs was emotional because it was his first game back, whatever. And what I saw, I think it's Al Harris. Al Harris is hugging him before the game, and he's just there crying, like just raw emotion, like bro, like oh man, I'm back. You know what I mean? Like, what an amazing thing to see. I said it on my Instagram, but yeah, I was like that. People like that are why I love sports and why I would draft someone like him. For him to
Yeah.
be crying and just like, bro, like I get another chance, let's go, like it, and then for him to get a pick, and then what I say, if Overshown is what he was in college, and then you bring Eric Kendricks together, and if he does what he did for Mike Zimmer's defense all those years ago, I mean, look how amazing those two looked in the linebacking position, and Hendricks got his first interception as a Dallas Cowboy. Like, man,
He looked good too.
woo! Like
He looked good too.
this
I
defense.
wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it. Finish
No,
your
no,
thought.
I'm sorry. This defense to me, we have true linebackers playing the position. I don't know what Dan Quinn was thinking towards the end of the year when it was going to be physical to keep like a light safety. He wasn't the heaviest safety. He was a light safety playing linebacker, and he got ran over by Aaron Jones and whatever. But I'm like, we had this defense to me can finally push to be top 3 to top 1 of the NFL.
Yeah, I can see that happening. And honestly, you and I talked about in the offseason that I wanted to see what Mike Zimmer's defense was going to look like, right? Because I thought there was going to be some sort of drop off with the departure of Dan Quinn. But no, I mean, they just started playing like they were playing last year, right? They turning the ball over, gained sacks. So it was impressive to see. And then somebody like Kendricks, right, where they're older, they're in their back end of their career, still making plays. And I think that's a testament to Mike Zimmer, right, and the relationship that he has with him. So it's really reassuring for Cowboys fans to see that defense, still being dominant. And then for the offense to say, yeah, I mean, they didn't look too good. You guys struggled a little bit on offense. But Zeke looked pretty good at the beginning, and so that's
Right.
promising too.
Yeah, him
Uh,
hurdling the first play, I was like, okay, if we get 80% Zeke, I mean, but that okay, we scored on the goal line, right? And that's why we brought him back because that's what we needed
yeah,
last year. The
that's
fourth
what you
and
were missing.
goals, 31, yeah, on the goal line, punch it in the mouth, let's score a touchdown no matter what. Because we scored a lot of field
But
goals last year.
but you saw the juice as well. You saw the
Right.
juice
Yeah, his
from him.
energy.
Yeah, because he wasn't playing like that last year in New England. Um, but yeah, it was just. I mean, I didn't watch the whole game because I was doing errands. But from what I saw shortly, like it was cool to see the defense being dominant again. The offense is gonna come together.
What I
There's
liked
no
about
doubt
the
about that.
offense is that they took out Miles Garrett from the game. They
Yeah,
ran around him. They bootlegged. They what is it called? Where they hitch him, where a player that's going to go out for a pass helps with the block first and then goes. And I'm like, I like that because that proves to me that they're trying to help Dak win. Like,
yeah,
hey man, you're our moneymaker. Like, go score some touchdowns. Like, I wasn't surprised that we didn't score touchdowns all the time on offense. I mean, that was the number one defense last year. So I'm like, I like the fact that we were able to move on them and score field goal. Like I wanted my kicker to keep doing what he did last year and just like ball out, and that's what he did. Because I'm like,
Hey, I wanted to see that 71-yarder.
dude, so did Tom Brady. Like I was like, oh my god, if he pulls that off, like it, I don't think if he would have pulled that off and made it, I don't think anybody would have ever broken that record in our lifetime.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Like that. But I mean, the fact that he scored that in was it the Raiders or whatever, but 66 yards in a, at least we know he can do it. So I'm like, man, if the wind's there in an outside game and it's like tied, like I'm putting my money on my kicker, man. Like I was texting like a few people that day. I was like, I've never wanted a kicker's jersey ever until now. Until now. Like I don't mind to having Aubrey's jersey because that dude is just he's when Justin Tucker came out, like, because there's always like, oh man, this Dan Bailey and Nick Folk, and there's so many who was Robbie Gold for you guys, like there's just like you had these kickers. Then Justin Tucker just took off and then no one caught up to him. And then now it's like, Moody from San Francisco, people are drafting like, damn, we need to evolve our kicking too, because a lot of teams are winning and losing by a field goal. So it's like,
yeah.
And then Brandon Aubrey, I'm like, damn, like they were so smart by getting him and Turpin from the foreign leagues, because like those are just smart pickups, because they're like, well, if they're the best player on the entire football league, then maybe they could do something here. And sure enough, like Turpin's the best, one of the best returners, and just that speed and elusiveness. And then now you got a Brandon Aubrey just kicking whatever the hell he wants. So it's so cool. But you have Dallas too?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, New Orleans won pretty convincingly last week.
Right.
But I just was not really that impressed. And I think this is going to be a tough matchup. And then it's a home opener for the Cowboys. I think it's just the atmosphere, the vibe's going to be too much for New Orleans.
Right. Woo, Danny, the next game. Look at this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield said, watch me, Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't rock. Check it out. And this dude scored 4 touchdowns, left off where he pretty much led on in last season. Like, he looked good. And then you go into the Detroit Lions, who is another NFC heavyweight, ready to make a stand. Like, this is going to be one of the best games, I think, of the entire weekend.
Yeah, it's tough to pick too.
Yeah. Who do you say, and then I'll go.
I'm gonna go with Detroit. I was just so impressed with them and the way that they kind of look the same since last year. So I'm gonna go with Detroit just because of that. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see Tampa Bay make it a game. Baker really surprised me last week. I thought he played really well. Mike Evans doesn't seem to age at all. Like, he's still just catching touchdowns.
He's so amazing.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame bound. Hall of Fame bound.
First ballot for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, I think just because of on paper they have a better team. Detroit does, and then they're at home again. I think that's gonna play the role here.
All right, Danny Ramirez. What if I
got?
told you the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to go in Detroit and upset them Lions?
Ooh, that's
Ooh,
that's ballsy.
ooh.
That's almost as ballsy as Dan Quinn's 4th down tries there.
Oh man. Oh, you mean Dan Campbell?
Oh, Dan Campbell. I said Dan Quinn. My bad.
I was like, what? Yeah, no wonder we lost. But yeah, I think it go either way, but I'm just gonna go on a little limb here and just pick the underdog right here, and I think Tampa Bay will go in and upset Detroit.
Nice. I like that you went the underdog.
All right. So the next game,
and they're favored by a touchdown. That's crazy. Detroit is.
Hey, but they barely beat them last time, so I mean it could go either way. What's crazy is they're playing both back-to-back playoff teams last year.
Yeah, that is true, huh?
Yeah, they played the Rams and then now Tampa.
I didn't realize that.
That's
wild. Are the Niners next week?
I know, right? Check the schedule. Indianapolis Colts at Green Bay Packers, Danny. Here we go. Who do you got? Ooh, look at that. At Lambeau Field. Look who's favored. The Indianapolis Colts. That is bizarre.
Sarcasm. I picked it up.
And that,
I picked it up
uh,
faster than
Un-
Tony.
Uncle Gerard, yeah, Kadarius Tony. Uncle Gerard would love that. He always said bizarre, but like damn, the fact that they don't have Jordan Love now, the Colts are favored. Like that's nuts. I don't know, man. This one's a close game.
Honestly, this may be a big thing for the Packers going forward. Because if you
If you
remember,
lose this game,
they traded for Malik Willis. Remember that, right? And they got rid of their backup quarterback to make room for Malik Willis. Malik Willis probably still does not know the offense like he
right?
should, and I mean it's his schedule's not going to be easy. I mean the Colts have a good defense. They showed up last week.
They were winning against
Packers,
Houston,
yeah, I mean they showed up, and I was mainly impressed with Anthony Richardson. I know that you and I
right?
were been really harsh on him, but
Yeah.
he looked like he can lead that offense.
And what was awesome to me is that he was throwing the ball instead of running. So maybe we don't have to ditch Rich yet, but I'm like, I was super stoked that he was passing like that 50-yard bomb off his back foot. That's some damn arm strength like nobody's business. Like that was insane. What?
That was 60 yards.
Oh, 60. Oh yeah, you cut off. I was like, what? But yeah, but either way, like that was insane. I mean, he was getting hit and he was like, and then he was like,
Yeah.
"Ew."
He
And
was
then
slipping and
what
just
was so cool is that Joe Flacco was his backup. And what is he known for? Like, like it's the craziest thing. But
yeah.
I you know what? Like I told y'all, the injuries with Green Bay, Colts can have a massive chance to beat them. So I'm gonna go Colts.
I'm gonna go with the Colts here too.
Malik
Uh,
Willis, like I just don't trust him. Even if he knew the offense, I
yeah.
don't trust him.
I left impressed with the Packers as well last week on Friday when they played the Eagles. I think they probably would have won that game if they just would have played a little bit better in terms of protecting the football. And protecting the
Oh,
football. I mean, they had a chance. They were winning. All they had to do was just run the clock a little bit more, and they chose to pass and
why
give
do
them
they
an
do that
opportunity.
now?
I don't know.
Like so many teams don't run the damn clock out. Like, what are you doing?
And it might be because of, Jacobs not having the production early on. Maybe that convinced them to start passing. And look what happened. He got hurt. Got Love hurt. Um,
I love it.
so so it's tough, but I was just impressed with Love mainly. He looks so poised back there, even when the pressure. And Philly's defense has a good, pass rush, and
Front
that didn't
seven.
phase him. Yeah, that didn't phase him, man. And he was tearing apart that secondary.
You know
And
what
so
that tells me? Dak can do the same.
yeah, I really think so. I mean, maybe it's unfair because it's week one, but they have a lot of rookie cornerbacks back there, so they're
Right.
still trying to figure it out.
Right.
And it's gonna take them a little bit. So hopefully you guys play them early, so that way you can take advantage and exploit it.
Right.
But yeah,
Man,
no, I think just for the reason that you mentioned, Malik Willis, I don't trust him. If it was Love back there, I probably would have picked Green Bay for sure.
absolutely. And especially at Lambeau. Like the fact that you're not favored at Lambeau against the Colts is a massive
Yeah,
troubling thing. Even if you
yeah,
win, it's still troubling to say that these dudes don't trust you going forward.
yep. I have to agree with you there.
The New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans. This game is gonna make or break Robert Sala's year, ladies and gentlemen. Like already in week 2. Like this is gonna oh I think the Jets bounce back and Will Levis does something he shouldn't have done again. But I think if they just run, like, don't even let Willis throw the ball unless you're on the goal line. Like, just run Pollard and Spears the whole game, and you got a fighter's chance because if that rookie ran on you like that, then sure as hell 2 veterans can, especially Pollard.
Yep. Yeah. Tennessee being at home is probably the deciding factor for me.
Right.
I was their interior defensive line. I think Sweat creates a ton of pressure, and
Right.
again, just the way that I saw Aaron Rodgers move or lack of movement in the pocket, I think that concerns me a little bit. Um, I I would pick the New York Jets if they committed to running the football, which I don't think they will because they have Rodgers.
Mistake.
Tennessee, Will Levis is probably not a good quarterback, but he has his moments. He has moments when he doesn't throw picks or he doesn't get flustered. He can make those passes. He was accurate, against the Bears for the most part. But to your point, if they run the football and they use Pollard, they use Spears, and they just rely on that defense, I think they'll be in good shape to win it.
Right. And
Um,
you could win and not give Rodgers the ball.
exactly,
That's how the
exactly.
Niners won.
That's a recipe for success for sure. So yeah, I'm gonna go with
Woo.
Tennessee here. I know you went with New York, right?
Yeah. This one's hard for me. Like I want to see, honestly, I want Tennessee to win, but I just don't think that the veteran number 8 will lose to the younger. I forgot what Levis's
Younger
number
8.
is. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
8
he's
too,
8.
right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the older 8 will outdo the younger 8, to be honest. I just the play that he did against the Bears, I just can't trust someone like that. Like, dude, you can't do that, especially in your second year in the NFL. Like, there's no way.
That'll be coached out of him. I think so. I mean, that was an obvious mistake. They have a new coach. He seems to be a good coach. Um, their offensive line's legit. Like they could run the football, and Pollard showed that. Pollard
Mhm.
showed that he can find the hole. He looks like the old Pollard. Spears is no slouch either. I think it's a great compliment, for them
Right.
two to be sharing that workload.
Thunder
But
and lightning.
for sure.
So San
Let's talk
Francisco
about your
49ers at Minnesota.
Yeah. Let's talk about your favorite team that you love talking about so much.
And that would be?
It seems like what's his name? McCaffrey's not going to play again, right?
Yeah.
That's the news.
And I trust this defensive line. Hey, you want me to talk about someone that I love? Someone who has a beautiful, amazing name and gets overlooked because of his name and he's not flashy. But homeboy probably won Defensive Player of the Week. Andrew Van Ginkel. 4 tackles, 1 sack, and an interception touchdown where he just grabbed it from the air, said, "Peace out." Like that dude. I loved him in Miami. And remember, I was like, man, I like him. I always liked him. And then sure enough, this dude came to Minnesota and was like, yo, check it out. And then like people know his name now. They're not leaving him out to dry anymore. That defense looked really good. I think Jim Schwartz is what the defense coordinator. No, Brian Flores, right? Brian
Brian
Flores.
Flores. Yep.
Brian Flores. Yeah, I think this one's tough. San Francisco's favored by what 6? Who do you have?
I'm gonna go with San Fran here. I think that they can handle. I mean, Sam Darnold's good. Don't get me wrong. He showed that he can play. I just don't know if it's consistent, right? We need to see that week in, week out. I was left impressed with Minnesota's defense. I think their defense really showed up. Their pass rush. I mean, Dallas Turner is a stud. You can tell right away.
Woo!
Van Ginkel. I think Van Ginkel is like an underrated signing.
Say it again.
Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel. The coolest name ever.
But yeah, I think even Ivan Pace Jr., their middle linebacker, that dude, man, he can cover, he can play. He's always around the football. But San Fran, like, dude, they're just proven, right? They are still the same team. They have Brock Purdy impressed the hell out of me on Monday Night Football. Just the way he just has that accuracy and places the ball. Like, he should have had a touchdown that was, I don't know if you saw the diving touchdown
Right.
drop from
Hey,
Ayuk.
the guy who held out, he don't know what's going on. He's over here dropping touchdowns.
Rust factor, I tell you. I'm
Yep.
telling you. But those types of plays, like, you don't see that, all that common from the quarterbacks. And even with pressure in his face, he still makes those passes. So I know Minnesota's at home. They're going to be a tough out for the Niners, but I think that overall on paper, they're just a better team.
Alrighty. The Minnesota Vikings will get the upset victory over the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
And
Who has a good game?
And I'll tell you why. Harrison Smith, one of my favorite safeties in the world, wears my favorite number, is going to get the winning interception to decide the game. It's going to be very close. San Francisco's going to have the ball at the end, and then Harrison Smith's going to intercept it, and it's all she wrote.
And let's remind our viewers what happened last year. Minnesota upset them on Monday Night Football. Remember that?
Yeah. Woo! It could happen again. It could happen. All right. Woo. Oh, Seattle at New England. Run the ball. Who do you got here, Danny?
Did you see who was on their sidelines week one?
I don't know.
Marshawn Lynch was there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He was like tapping the coach, like, "Yo, dog, you're gonna get your victory."
Yeah.
Like that was awesome. I did see that.
So
Mr.
so it's
Skittles
funny that you
himself.
bring up it's funny you bring up that moment in the Super Bowl. But I think Seattle, I mean, their defense is good, man. They're solid. New England, I think, yes, they won week one, but I think it was a shocker to everyone. I don't think they
Right.
should have won that game. The Bengals should have been better prepared for that game. And so I still think New England's going to be one of the bottom tier teams in the NFL. So I know they're at home, but I still think that Seattle's defense can control, Jacoby Brissett or whoever's back there. I think they could stop Ramondre Stevenson, who had a really good game week one.
Right.
Um, but Geno Smith, I mean, Geno Smith made a lot of good plays last week too. He looked like Geno Smith of 2 years ago. Oh,
Uncle George talking to me right now.
yeah. Don't pick the Patriots, you fool.
Yeah. Run the ball. No, he's I agree with you on this one. I Seattle, I think, will be 2-0 after this. And who knew? Like, Seattle would be one of the top dogs right now in the NFC West. We knew it wouldn't be the Cardinals, but we thought the Rams might be pretty there. But with injuries, who knows now? So,
Yep.
Seattle, I think, gets the victory against New England. And and in the next game, New York Giants and the Washington Commanders.
This is tough.
So Dan Quinn will get his first win as a Washington Commander head coach. And Jaden
Dan Quinn.
Daniels will be saying, "Out with the old, in with the new. By Daniel Jones, I am here." And then the Washington Commanders are going to win. Like, they're favored by 1.5. Like a 0.5. I just think that the Giants are just a secret mess. Like, I think they're really a secret mess. Like, they have some pieces that they can actually perform. Like, they went to do better in the front four, on the defensive line, and they should be way better and advertised. But I just think Daniel Jones is a secret mess, man. Like, I don't think he's fully healed from his injury either. And what sucks too is that this is his make it or break year from coming. Like, Cousins and Rodgers, they've already been there. Like, they've shown that they belong. But Daniel Jones is coming off of a year where he was supposed to put up or shut up. Then he got injured, so now it's even double put up or shut up.
Yeah.
So it's gonna weigh heavy
And
on him.
it's probably even triple because of the pick that they had and the
Oh
options that they had at,
my god!
free agency quarterbacks. And they gave him another chance, right? They chose to give up on Saquon Barkley,
Oh my
and
god!
it's right now it's looking pretty
And
bad because of the
send him to
performance.
Philadelphia, like, to let him
Yeah.
walk to Philadelphia. Like, are you kidding me right now? That's like
It-
the Bills giving Xavier Worley to the Chiefs. Like, here, you
yeah,
beat
it's
me
the
up.
equivalent.
You beat me
It's
up.
the equivalence of it.
Here's a paddle. Here you go. Come on, go ahead.
I don't know if you
Like,
saw the meme that was going around on X on Friday, but it was a snippet from Hard Knocks where I forget the name of the owner, um,
John Mara.
Mara, yeah, John Mara. So he told Joe Shane when they were talking about Saquon Barkley and all that. He said, if he goes to the Eagles, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. And sure enough, it was a meme or a gif of him staying up and not being able to sleep yet.
Yeah, exactly,
It,
dude.
it was so funny, but it
Sickening.
sucks. It sucks that they have to go through this now and potentially pay him twice.
And you know what?
But
Like, as a Cowboy fan, I'm like, dude, yeah, Saquon, go, leave New York. But, like, to go to Philadelphia is even worse. Like, it
yeah,
just,
you can't
like,
escape
I
him.
was so mad.
Yeah,
I'm mad. I'm
but
mad at the Giants organization because
you
you
picked
should have kept him. Uh,
Yeah, he should have kept him. He was your
even
foundational
even
piece.
if you expect Daniel Jones to be the guy, you should have kept him. Like, how you need to win with the team, not one guy. that can't get it done anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
You're
god.
preaching to the choir here, but
Who do you got, Danny?
I got New York. I'm going different here.
All right. Well,
Hey, you went different. I gotta go
I
different
know,
too.
I
We
know,
can't
no,
have the
no, no.
same
It's,
record.
it's about time. Be a
My,
rebel.
I am picking New York simply because I need to see more from the pass rush, and they didn't do anything. They couldn't stop Sam Darnold, and
You're laughing like if
I
it's
know it's tough to pick this, but I mean, you look at Xavier McKinney, who went to the Green Bay Packers, got a pick on Friday night. And then you'll also see on the offensive side, Saquon have a good game, have 3 touchdowns. So it wasn't a good night for Giants, right? For their free agent departures. Um, but they got Brian Burns, they got Dexter Lawrence, they got Kayvon Thibodeau. They didn't show up last week. Where were they? They couldn't stop Sam Darnold. So now, with the rookie, going up against a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, they need to take advantage of it, right? Granted, Jaden Daniels is a very capable quarterback. He's smart. He made some plays last week, even though it wasn't passing, it was rushing. They need to step up on defense. And I think that hopefully, I think this is probably, I don't think week 1 was very telling of the Giants. I think that perhaps maybe they'll show up this game, being against it's a divisional opponent.
I
And
salute you,
they
sir.
know they can't go 0-2. If they go 0-2, the New York media is going to eat them alive.
I'm gonna eat them alive. I've been doing it the whole time. You
We
keep
both
number
have.
8. You keep number 8, but get rid of the other. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So anyway, so did you see the Munich game that's gonna be in October or whatever?
No.
One of our Germany games or whatever. It's the Carolina Panthers against the New York Giants.
Oh wow, that's gonna be fun.
Woo! It's gonna be the
I'll
battle to see who gets the number 1 pick.
I'll sleep in that night. That day.
Yeah, so everyone's like, dude, this is gonna start World War III, and like, people are just like chiming like this is terrible. But so the Los Angeles, we're talking about both teams right now, the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers. So Los Angeles Chargers against the Carolina Panthers. Who you got, Danny?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
And why did you pick that?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I was left impressed with Justin Herbert. It wasn't flashy, of course. I know we talked about this earlier in terms of the passing yardage being kind of low for week 1. But I think I don't think Herbert needs a big supporting cast around him. By that I mean Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I think he can do with what he got. Lad McConkey showed he's a legit route runner. And then you have Quentin Johnson, who's gonna, I think, become or take that next step.
Yeah, his
I
second
don't,
year.
yeah, I don't think he's gonna be like a big old name, but he's gonna take that next step and be productive for them. Um, J.K. Dobbins, man, that dude showed up. He was running the football. Yeah, that was the old J.K. Dobbins. So what
When
really
he's
gives,
healthy, he's really good.
yeah, he is, and what gives me confidence in this team is that Harbaugh is going to really be one of those coaches that prides himself on being kind of equal, right? Passing and running the football. His offensive line, Joe Alt, man, that dude is a beast.
Right.
And I think with the Panthers, the way that they came out last week against the Saints, like I was expecting more. Bryce Young still looks like he hasn't figured it out.
He just looks so bad. Like I
Yeah.
mean, he just looks. I don't like. I told you I would never drafted him at all. I don't give a damn. He went to Alabama. Alabama quarterbacks get so damn spoiled. It's not even funny. Like I would have never drafted him one. Um, he probably wouldn't even been my third pick at quarterback. But yeah, it's not good so far.
And
And
now he
it's
has
one of
to go
those
up
things.
against Joey Bosa and Mac. That's tough.
And who's the junior? His dad was
Derwin
amazing.
James.
No, there's a
Oh,
junior too. Was it Derwin James a
junior.
junior too?
Yeah, he's a junior, I believe.
No,
But
oh, Sante
junior.
Samuel Jr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like he's does like he went from the Saints that wasn't supposed to be that flashy to a team that's going to be hardcore flashy with John Harbaugh. Like you're not getting it any easier. But of course, I'm going to go
Not
with
at all.
my boy Herbert. And you know what's funny is like there's a like a GIF and meme like, and it goes back to the whole like if you can't beat them, join them. So remember when J.K. Dobbins at Ohio State just ran all over Michigan and just embarrassed Harbaugh. Well, now you
Yeah.
got him. Now he's your guy. So it's like, oh, nice, we got him. Run the ball now. Run the ball now. And homeboy took it to the Raiders. And then, of course, man, Raiders, come on, man. They start a fight at the end of the game. Do you see that? Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
really? And then the fans. I saw one where like these two fans were cursing out a little boy. And all he
Well,
was
I didn't
doing,
see that one.
yeah, all he was doing is like 1-0. Like, yeah, we're 1-0. And dude, two drunk grown men, and it was just a little boy, probably like no more than 10 years old. And he was just going like this, 1-0. And then they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, like, this is why people don't like sports and drunk men, like because you guys act stupid. I'm like, take it up the chin. Your team lost, and don't fight anybody, especially little kids. But yeah, so the Chargers all the way. Justin Herbert's going to be. He might have a field day. If Derek Carr could have a field day with his damn defense, like Herbert could possibly do the same.
I thought you were gonna mention the video of the two fans or three fans. It was a Raider fan and a Chargers fan, kind of pushing, shoving each other, right? And they look like they're about to start swinging. Another Raider fan comes in the middle of them, like, "Hey, hey, settle down." Well, I think it's the Chargers fan that no, it was a Raiders fan. Grabbed the other Raider fan,
And
tossed him
throws him.
aside, starts trying to beat up the Chargers fan. So the guy who gets tossed gets pissed off, goes back and starts punching both of them, and then the two guys that were fighting each other originally end up double teaming the guy that was trying to prevent them from fighting.
That's a thing.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. I'll
You,
send it
you
over to you.
send, please send that. I need to see that. So they're like, "Hey man, don't be getting our business." Like, come on. That's why. Yeah, I ain't dealing with that. No, no. But yeah,
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Chargers all the way for me.
I got it. All right.
This
How
one's tough.
about how about Jacksonville
Uh,
and Cleveland?
None. These two teams could not fall 0-2, especially how good each division is on both
Hmm.
sides. Like this one's tough. I'll just say Jacksonville just because they're at home and the fact that I
Yeah,
can't trust Deshaun Watson.
yeah. I have to agree with you there. And Jacksonville should have been 1-0. They should have beaten Miami, but they didn't convert on that third down play. So I
Right.
mean, if they would have converted, it would have been over. They could have run down the clock. And so they were that close. I was left really impressed by their team. Um, and I think we talked about Deshaun Watson. He's just having a very difficult time. And one, they play a good Jacksonville defense, and then two, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but Jacksonville in September is freaking hot, right? And it ain't easy
Yeah. In
to
the
have an
city
advantage.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be hopefully, man. I don't know. Those two teams just they worry me. But yeah, I'd
yeah.
take Jacksonville at home.
All right, Las Vegas and Baltimore.
I mean, do we have to just let's just both say it? 3, 2, 1. Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Uh, Look, I like where the Raiders are heading. I just don't think that they're ready to compete with the big boys, and it's going to be another year. Like I always tell you, to build your team the way you want it, it's got to take 2 years, and then year three is you just add the small missing pieces with your studs, right? That you wanted. So Raiders are about 2 years, like a year away to like really trying to make a name, even in their division. So yeah, I take the Baltimore. I think this game might even be worse than 9 points. I think it's going to be
Hmm.
and especially the way that the Baltimore lost. Like they're going to be super pissed and just go go irate.
I didn't mention this earlier, but I was very disappointed with Baltimore's strategy week one. They could have easily, not easily, I shouldn't say easily. They could have won that game against the Chiefs. They should have won
Right.
it. But they got away from the run. I don't understand that.
Like I
Derrick
told
Henry's on the
you.
sideline. It made no sense to me. It made no sense to me. And then you could clearly see that Lamar Jackson was very inaccurate, was rusty as heck. where he should have had 2 touchdowns, but he threw behind the
Just
receiver.
run out the clock. Don't give the Chiefs ball like the ball. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god. And
So
then
yeah, I think
Uh, Harbaugh commented that he was like, "Well, we didn't bring him in here to run 30 times." I'm like, "Yeah, you did. So you wouldn't have to run your quarterback the whole time. You should run him 30 times because like it's better than your quarterback running and possibly getting hurt, and he's inaccurate half the time anyway."
exactly. Yeah, it made no sense to me. So that strategy was mind-boggling. Um, I think they figure it out, right? I think they're able to be more balanced. I think, of course, Lamar Jackson will probably be a little bit better in terms of his accuracy and getting his playmakers the ball.
And the best way to
But
keep and the best way to keep Wilkins and Crosby away is to run the ball.
exactly,
What were
and
you
and
gonna say?
and Derrick Henry ran the ball good. Like he was
Right.
getting 4 to 5 yards with each rush, and he needs to. You need to take advantage of that. He's the type of running back that even though he's kind of chipping away at it, a big run is going to happen. You know, so I think he figures it out here. And honestly, I was going to make this bold statement last week or bold prediction, but I feel like the all the hype that we got from Anthony or Antonio Pierce, I was gonna call him Anthony, already changing his name. But Antonio Pierce, like I think is down. I think he's gonna come back to reality. I think they're gonna struggle this year, and hopefully Mark Davis. Um, it's Mark Davis, right?
Yeah.
That's his son.
Yep.
So hopefully Mark Davis has the patience because we've seen he doesn't
Uh,
have the patience like his dad
one
to
and
tough it
done.
out. Yep.
Yeah, he has to keep him. Like I said, like they had to go another off season to get maybe do quarterback different pieces. Like because I mean they're flashy again because they're in Las Vegas, and they're the Raiders. They're a big name team, so they'll have people that want to go. They just gotta go get them. And yeah, but Baltimore for sure. The Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals division
Oops.
game.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was gonna.
Oh man, this
I
was
bought
tough.
tickets to this game.
Are you going?
I was going to go, um, and I was gonna take Natalia with me, but I don't know. I felt kind of bad not taking Nayeli. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna donate my tickets to one of my friends here, so he and his son can go. As you can see, look at the ticket prices, $20. Like that's cheap.
That's
Um,
insane.
so I mean, of course, I didn't spend that much on these tickets
Look
either
how
way.
sad you went from $20 to what 176, 130, 135. Go
Wait
back
till
to
you
the
get to the
Cowboys
Cowboys.
ticket. Yeah, I was like, go back to the Cowboys tickets because
Oh, what? $90? That's not
that's
accurate.
that. That's what if it is? It's the Saints. If it was against the Eagles or something, yeah, I think it'd be popping. But
This is
well,
probably like standing room only.
hey, that's all right. Shoot, I'm down. I'll be in East Texas.
Look at
But
this, $33.
God, that's so mind-boggling.
Speaking of low cheap tickets, I actually went to a Diamondbacks game yesterday. Took the girls with me.
Of course you did.
I paid
Gabe, where
seven
you at?
bucks.
Where you at, Gabe? Dude,
Seven bucks
that's
each,
seven. What for a professional game?
right? I took advantage.
They do know that they just went to the World Series, right? Like I don't know. I'm just trying to point
It
that
was
out
a
there.
it was a World Series matchup too. It was against the Texas Rangers yesterday.
And it was $7.
Uh huh. Gotta love it. Take
I'll
advantage.
say. I'll say. All right.
I
So I
you know,
have.
we're not sponsored by Tix Pick, but if you guys ever need tickets to a game, I recommend it. Tix Pick. It's an app. You search for any sporting event, but the great thing about it, they have no fees. And then like me, I wanted to go to a game. Like I was even thinking about hours before. Those tickets $7. Like you can't beat that.
That's insane. But
Go
okay,
for it.
Danny, this
Who do you
one's
got?
tough. This one because of the injuries to the Rams and as well as Arizona played against Buffalo. This is scary. And look, they're favored by a point. That's wild.
Yeah.
uh, I just I think
But
the Rams.
I was gonna say Arizona hasn't beaten the Rams in a couple years.
But I mean, that's McVay. His coaching, and then Kyler Murray. I'll trust the old man versus the younger man, like for sure. but yeah, hats off to Arizona for doing what they did to Buffalo and just keep it in as amazing as it was of that game. But I think that the Rams bring them back to reality, and then they like win the division. So I picked the Rams.
I honestly would also want to pick the Rams, but I think I'm gonna go different here just to
Ooh.
spice things up.
Yep,
Um,
Cardinals
L-
fan. Where's Gabe? I'm texting him right now.
LA, LA has been going through a lot of injuries recently. That they I think they lost two offensive linemen. So
Yeah,
that's
they had a sign to.
pretty much the reason why I'm going with Arizona for this one. It's just they have a lot of, um, I guess, fluctuation in the offensive line. I think Arizona will get some pressure, and then also they don't have Puka Nakua, so a
I,
lot of the work's gonna rely on Cooper Cup.
I was gonna say Dallas has a hard time putting Diggs and Bland on the field together, and it seems like the Rams have a hard time putting Cup and Puka together. All last year, Cup was all injured, and it was the Puka Nakua show. And then now they're like, "Hey, man, we'll probably have them together." It's like, nope, now Puka's hurt, and I'm like, "What the heck?" But yeah, so it's just tough. I just don't trust Kyler. Like that's the biggest. Like if I had a little more faith in him, I would choose Arizona at home. But I just don't have faith in him, and I have more faith on Sean McVay's coaching than the next coach.
My biggest disappointment for Week One was Marvin Harrison Jr. only having 4 yards. So
How is that possible? And
I
you
don't know,
probably
but
win
I'm
the game
hoping.
if you focus on your best player.
Yeah, I mean he was wide open for the game-winning touchdown, and he didn't throw it. So it
That's why
sucks
I don't
that.
trust him.
Yeah, I mean, true. I don't trust him either. But I feel like they probably learned from the game tape here, and they're gonna get him more involved somehow. Trey McBride also, who he is, the stud tight end that they've recently drafted. He wasn't that much of a factor either. So they need to make sure that they use both of those weapons on offense. And then James Conner is James Conner. He's gonna produce for you. So
Nice.
it's a lot of it can go either way, but I think I'm gonna go just to be different. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals.
Alrighty. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos.
Ooh, that's tough, man. What'd you think of your boy Knicks?
I loved it because you went into play in Seattle, the daunted 12th man of the NFL, a great defense, a team that's supposed to pound you out anyway, and then they only lost what by a touchdown or something. Like, cause he the second half he looked like it slowed down a little bit for him. The jitters were done. So now at home, I think he'll look better too. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is not gonna like make it easy on him, but I think these 2 weeks, even if they lose both, these 2 weeks are a great learning experience for him to keep to start grinding to where he needs to be. And that being said, I'm picking the Denver Broncos to
Wow,
upset to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Denver. I like it. And honestly, with Pittsburgh, yes, they won, but it could have gone either way, right? Falcons
Right.
could have taken advantage of it. So I mean, they didn't have like a dominant performance. So it's kind of hard to read them right now. Um,
Right. And you don't know whose quarterback's going to be there. Which quarterback?
yeah, right now it's saying that Justin Fields will probably take it, but who knows? It could change. Um, but I think I don't know. Bo Nick's performance really did worry me, simply because he was kind of running all over the place. And as a rookie quarterback, you don't want to see that. You want him to kind of dissect the defense and try to understand like what the weak points are. And I didn't see that from him.
Right.
Yes, he's good though. He's good when he moves out of the pocket. He's accurate that way too. But I just think going up against the Steelers defense, I think that's probably the biggest strength there. Um, I don't know, man. This is tough, but I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh here, just simply because of that.
That's going
Ooh,
to be
Kansas
it's
City.
that's going to be a closer game than people think.
I think so too.
So Cincinnati at Kansas City. Here we go again, man. Like this is a must win for Cincinnati. And honestly, it's a must win for Mahomes, right? Because he's what 1-3 against Burrow. But
Hmm.
I think the distractions just beat up Cincinnati again, and I think Kansas City gets to 2-0 and looks like they're going to be the favorite again because Xavier Worthy, stupid Bills.
Yeah, there's not much more to add there. I'm completely agree with you there.
Yeah,
I just don't see Kansas City really being able to go toe to toe with them now.
you mean Cincinnati,
What'd I say?
Kansas
Kansas
City?
City? Yeah, Cincinnati. My bad.
Yeah, it's all good. I was like, who are you picking then? Is this the
I'm
Bills or
going
the
Miami.
yeah,
Damn it.
Miami or Jets? What's happening? Um, but yeah, I can't like this one to me. It should be a lot closer of us to try to decide. Like, but the drama, like Kansas City is gonna whoop their ass.
Yeah, I'm with you there, brother.
All right, ooh, the game for Danny and Gabe: Chicago, the Bears versus the Houston Texans. All right,
Sunday night
Danny.
football.
Sunday night football. What's going on with that one?
Oh man,
The fact that you're literally thinking about it, I love because you already know the truth.
I love our defense,
Right,
and that's the first thing I text my brother and my friend Jaime, who's a Titans fan, last week. I said, our defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense.
right.
Our offense, on the other hand, I don't know what they are yet, and it was very discouraging to see them kind of perform the way that they did. They didn't. I feel like they didn't use Caleb Williams properly. They should have rolled him out. Instead, he was kind of just trying to figure it out as the pocket was collapsing. And I think that's the wrong mentality to have. You need to build a strategy around him. And he's not going up against a defense here that is much weaker than the Titans. I think they're going up against another dominant defense. On paper, they're much improved. Yes, they struggle against the Colts, but I think that that wasn't a true indication of how strong Houston's defense is. So I kind of predict that Caleb's going to have another tough outing. He'll pass for more yards, but I think there might be an interception or two sprinkled in there. And honestly, I don't think that the Bears can continue to win with just their defense and special teams. So I'm going to give them a loss here. I think they lose to Houston. But it's a part of the process for them to kind of develop and for Caleb's development. And I think, this will be a game that they could use for improvement. And it'll be, hopefully help with the development of the whole team.
I could not agree with you more, sir. I look, I next year I think Caleb could go toe to toe in a shootout with Houston. But this year, if this goes in a shootout, there's no way in hell and chance. Because, like you said, a few interceptions here and there, like the rookie mistakes, and you played the NFC South twice, back to back. Like that's wild. You played
They're going to play him
Tennessee.
against next week
You
against
have
the
him three
Colts.
straight. Wow, that's wild.
It's
That's
bizarre.
that's rare. So yeah, I just don't think that Chicago is ready to do a shootout yet. And I think that's what might it come down to because Houston, your defense is amazing. But if you're going to tell me that Houston's only going to score 10 or 17 points, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Houston at home. But who knows? We could be totally wrong. But I say Houston gets the win at home. And was it 6 points? I mean, I'm okay with that because, like it's going to be closer than we think. But yeah, at the end of the day, like it's just one mistake is just going to hurt it, and then the shootout's going to start. And they
All
won't
I
with
all I want to see is a close game. That's it.
right, right. Yeah, the improvement.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
the final game of week 2, the Atlanta Falcons, who was a disappointment in week 1, take on the daunted Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. These birds could go 0-2, and it's not going to look pretty.
Yeah.
So, Danny, who do you got?
I am going to go with the Eagles. They're at home. That place is going to be rocking. Saquon is probably going to have another good game. Um, I guess I don't know, man. It's tough to predict because Atlanta didn't show anything in terms of being an offensive powerhouse, but Philadelphia secondary is still kind of a liability. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Kirk Cousins have some sort of success, but I think just the running the running strength that they have now with Saquon Barkley, the defensive line that the Eagles have, well, it's just going to make it very difficult for Kirk Cousins. And again, we mentioned, right, we talked about the Achilles being an issue with movement within the pocket. I think that still plays true for this matchup. So I think that Philadelphia is going to generate some pressure. They're going to run the ball really effectively. Um, but I'll tell you this, though. Philadelphia does not have that tush push no more. I know you missed the game, but Kelsey not being there, you can see it.
I
Like they don't.
said from day one, as soon as he retired, I was like, tush push is no more.
Yeah, they generated no power from it, which is it's good because that was their biggest strength
Right.
going up against that team.
And that's good for other teams because that means that they legit have to run a normal formation, which is not going to give them 100, like, the 90% of the tush push or 95% of that it was working back then. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
wish you could have seen that game. I wish you could have seen that game because I would have loved to get your perspective from one, the way that the offensive line looked, and then two, Kellen Moore's the offensive coordinator. I want to see, does it look different than what he was running in Dallas? My thought is no.
if that's the case, I'm all in because our players went against him in practice 2 years, 3 years of the same offense. So I'm like, I'm okay with that because if it's the same, then Diggs and stuff are going to be able to eat because they're going to know what he's going to throw.
Yeah,
Um, but you know what?
you feeling brave?
Kirk Cousins at the end of the game is, you like that? You like that? And he upsets the Philadelphia Pandemonium Eagles in Philadelphia. And the Falcons get back on track. Because I think that Pittsburgh's defense is way better than Philly's defense just because of the youth.
Interesting. I mean, TJ Watt had a game, man. That dude is a
Yeah,
beast.
he wrecked the game. You have Patrick Queen there now in Pittsburgh. Like, I mean, that defense ain't no joke. But the youth in Philadelphia, they're good. But when push comes to shove, will that youth show later on?
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting though because the Eagles, for like the last couple of years, right? They've had really solid defensive ends. Like now, it seems like they're I don't know, they're calling on their second year rookie, or not second, they're not rookies, second year players like Nolan Smith, like I think Josh Sweat is one of them. They have Bryce Huff. Like those are all guys that were not starting defensive ends. They were more like rotational defensive ends.
Right.
And I just wonder, are they going to take that next step? Are they going to be able to carry the same load or make the same type of production that Hassan Reddick was making for them? So it's going to be interesting to see like how it all comes together. From what I saw last Friday, it seemed like they did generate some pressure, at least in the middle, right? Jalen Carter's a beast. He's going to generate that pressure through the middle. But also the defensive ends, it looked like they were getting close to love. So that's promising. But again, we're talking about players who have not been asked to be that starting defensive end. So time will tell.
Speaking of, on the line trenches first start or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
BB, our center, who had never played center in his life, and for the Dallas Cowboys, was the highest rated offensive lineman of week one, Danny. 0 pressures, 0 sacks. Homie stood his ground whenever he was one-on-one or whatever it was the case.
As a rookie,
As a rookie, he was the highest
dang.
rated. I know. I was like, bro, whoop, whoop, like, and so it's crazy when Dak and them started practicing. He didn't know that Cooper had never and BB had never been a center because, like, in the offseason, he went to do snaps with his mother. Like his mom, like they went in the backyard and she was helping him hike the ball. So when they went to practice, they were like, all right, cool, let's line up. And then they're like, Dak, he's never played center, right? And he's like, what do you mean? He looks good. And then, homie had the highest rated of any offensive lineman in the entire NFL week one. Isn't that crazy?
That is pretty cool.
And he dropped down the draft. Why? Because the people said he has shorter arm length. And I'm like, bro, all he has to do is push the guy in front of him. And like, it doesn't matter if he's short arms or not. As long as he doesn't get to the quarterback, that's doing your job.
that doesn't matter, and especially for interior offensive linemen.
Oh, that's why he fell. But I'm like, dude, he was the
Well,
highest
good for you
rated. So
guys.
I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, whoop whoop, another steal in the offensive line. Whoop whoop.
You
I
guys know how to
remember
draft them for sure.
I remember when people, man, I remember my dad and so many people were like, we drafted a center first round. And that was with Travis Frederick. I was like, have you seen his tape? Have you seen this guy ball? Like, we need someone to protect number 9. And of course, number 9 was already back into his career. Poor guy, already been beat up so many damn times because of our offensive line. But I was like, watch, this dude's gonna be a stud. And until he got that illness, who was considered one of the best, if not the best center in the NFL, Travis Frederick. Like
Yeah.
that dude was so damn good. I miss him, and he was at training camp and stuff, like long bearded, Santa Claus looking guy. But like, yeah, he was there hanging out with the guys and like pushing them to do good. I I don't know if he was like part of the offensive line coaches, but I would love to see him as a offensive line coach because that dude his knowledge and stuff. Because the center is the key. And then that's what I love about Kelsey retiring because he was that guy that's telling Hurts, hey, 13's about to blitz or like watch this, watch that. Like the center is supposed to schematically tell you like what's gonna happen, so the quarterback gets the message and then he changes the play, right? So I'm like, you without having a great center, like you always said, like, dude, we know what it's like to not have a good center in Chicago because we just got ate up in the interior. And
Yep.
yeah, we stole another one apparently. Cooper Beebe, freaking number 1 in the league at week 1. That's wild.
I'm jealous because we're still struggling through that.
That's crazy. But yeah, oh man, Danny, damn, 2 hour, man. We like it just it flew by, and
Flew by, right?
after we got through your technical, I blame we're Sam. We're gonna blame Sam. No, just kidding. Yeah, that was wild. Technical difficulty. We had a little Puka Nakua running around. It's just all pew, pew, pew. That was too good. You were like,
She's
I
fast. I couldn't keep
know.
track of her.
Pew, pew. But yeah, man, always great. We'll see what happens, man. And then yeah, I'll be in East Texas in a few days, so I'll be seeing all that stuff over there. I can't wait and for us to tailgate at Texas. Like, I'm so when he mentioned that, I was like, ah, to just
That's
see how
awesome.
crazy that's gonna be. Yeah, like, and Texas is number 2, number
I
2 in the
know. They
ranking.
deserve it,
Yeah.
man. They
Oh
whoop some
yeah.
butt.
Yeah, Michigan. But yeah, man, I'm excited. So I'll keep you Austin keep you posted. But man,
Tell Frank
great
I say
great
what's up.
times. Yeah, for sure. Great times. Week 2 upon us, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. First game, Miami
Yep.
versus Buffalo. So
Can't wait. It's gonna.
yes.
Unfortunately, like we said, right, the rest of the year is gonna go by so fast
Uh,
because football is just going on from Thursday to Monday.
I follow, I love the season, right? You know that, and like the Christmas and stuff. So I literally saw a post on Instagram that said 21 Sundays left until Christmas. Like, how scary. Like, that is, tell me that the year is going fast without telling me the year is going. If we're 21
Exactly.
Sundays away from Christmas, that's insane.
That means we're 22 Sundays away from the new year,
I know
2025.
what is going on, bro. Oh my god! But Danny Ramirez,
Crazy.
Sun City Leatherheads podcast. Like, follow, share. Please give us some feedback. We miss Gabe. I don't know what he's probably upset that you're a Diamondbacks and Cardinals fan now, but whatever. We'll see
Probably.
you. All right, Danny. How do we fare?
Good. It was good to kind of recap week 1. I think it was really, I mean, there was just a lot of things that I wrote down on my notes that I wanted to discuss, and a lot of disappointments, right? I touched on Marvin Harrison. I touched on the lack of offensive production from the quarterback position. So that was kind of unusual. The kickers had a day, right? A lot of kickers kicked over 50-yard field goals. So I'm just excited to see what week 2 has in store for us. And hopefully both of our teams win, most importantly.
Oh, I know, right? Let's pray. All right, Danny.
Yep.
We're out.
Peace, everyone. We'll talk to you all next week.
Yep.